Welcome to CLAM's Blue House. CLAM is the Community Land Trust Association of West Marin. Our mission is to create stable, permanently affordable housing in an environmentally responsible way in the communities surrounding Tomales Bay. CLAM was formed in 2001 by a group of local people who wanted to increase the amount of affordable housing in the area so that people who work here and contribute to the community are able to stay living here and to enhance the community and keep the character and vitality of the community as it is. So CLAM bought this property in February of 2009, and we have renovated this front house that we call the Blue House. We took the part in our mission about being environmentally responsible very seriously with this property, and we've renovated it to be as green as it possibly can be. And Terry Nordby, who's the contractor, is going to be talking more about that. So there are a couple of important things about this project. One is that this is truly a community project. It's being made possible by donations from many people and a tremendous amount of volunteer work. From everything from designing it, the planning process, building, painting, there have been volunteer hands in all aspects of this project. The other thing that's important is that it will be an affordable rental for a low-income family that's working in the area and contributing to our community being what it is. So from our perspective, this means that green housing is for everybody, for people who don't have a lot of money to buy the snazziest technology. We are making this house green as an affordable rental.
Okay, so we started this house. The very first thing we did was take out the brick masonry fireplace, knowing that it would be a great barrier to trying to make the place very insulated. This pile of bricks here is part of the material we took out. We'll be reusing it for landscaping. The fireplace in this house was basically an energy suck. It was a large hole in the building that had no insulation in it and had hundreds of opportunities to leak air from all around it. Plus the masonry lets hot and cold and moisture in and out of the wall assembly, obviously different than an insulated wall cabinet would. CLAM decided to spend the dough and we took the fireplace down. This is where the fireplace used to be. That darkened area is mold. So after the fireplace, the next thing we did was tear out the skirt underneath the floor assembly around the house to expose the foundation, or the lack of foundation. And we then had the house movers come in and lift the house in place, and that enabled us to take out the rotten skirt and pony wall and the existing concrete foundation. And this is the house completely released of its old foundation and supports, and it's ready to be lifted up. And these assemblies here are called cribs, and they're placed at strategic points around the house, and then a beam is put across them and the house is lifted from these cribs. At this point, every jack is on a hydraulic hose, and there's a master control guy who basically tweaks levers and the house goes up in synchronicity. And this is the rear of the house, the back porch, which we eventually tore off because it was so rotten and funky and termite ridden. We started going around the perimeter and forming up with a new foundation. The forms we're using for this, we're going to reuse for forms for the second unit, and then hopefully reuse them as well for the rafters for the second unit. So look at a 3-time use and still stay on the property. All these wooden stakes here were recycled from the different parts of the house. There's another rare shot of me actually working. We are filling up the forms with concrete. At the end of the day, we walk away from it, you come back in the morning, you strip off all these boards and you're left with concrete. Here's the same corner with the forms stripped off. And again, the house is still floating. It hasn't been set down yet. And this piece of plywood is where the fireplace used to be. This is Julian checking to see just how level it was. Now, our wall was very level, but the house wasn't. So when the house came down, it creaked and cracked and moaned and groaned, settling into its new flat and level home. This is the beginning of air sealing, and these blobs are foam out of a can. When a wire goes from a crawl space up into a living space, or a wall, or a floor cavity, ordinarily you just drill a hole, you run the wires, and air moves in and out of there freely. It's just the way we built. We just drill holes and leave the holes. So what all of this foam does is it stops air from moving, not that there's much moving down here, from this space up into the wall cavity, and then it could move through the wall, through the insulation, and out of outlets, and lots of different places it can leak. So every hole in this place, every wire hole and plumbing hole, in the floor cavity, the wall, and the attic has been sealed with foam. Air can leak from the crawl space underneath and come up through framing and into the living space. And it can come in from a myriad of ways. So not knowing how air was going to leak in, by default I just sealed everything I could find. This is all of the siding we took off that we could save. And eventually we went through it and ripped and made all of our trim out of it. It was beautiful old redwood. The porch has been rolled away literally from the house about 4 feet. If the porch was on, you'd have to work around the connections of the porch to the house, and it would be hard to impossible to have a continuous air seal around the house with the porch on it. Or more so important, in the same vein, we want to have a continuous thermal foam seal around the house without a thermal break. And again, with the porch on there, it would break up the opportunity to do that. The way the house is now, we just ran a skin straight across. We ran foam straight across with no obstacle.